You're listening to Radio Jobline with your host, Scott Possessor, right here on 103.
And welcome, everybody. It must be Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. if the Grateful Dead is playing on 103.9 FM, LI News Radio. Live today with you again. We are live every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m., and we're here to help you get a job. We're here to help you keep your job, to be successful on your job, and to achieve levels of success in virtually 1,000 different areas that you may never have achieved before. We also bring companies on the show. And these companies will talk to you and interview you right on Radio Jobline. This is the only show of its kind that does that. The telephone number, the call-in number to join a conversation or to get interviewed by one of these companies is 631-451-1039. Pardon me, that's 631-451-1039. And we have a couple of very interesting companies today, both on the technology side. Start out with Anthony Pisano. He's the president and CEO of Urban Digital Solutions, founded on Long Island. Urban Digital Solutions' mission is to simplify and centralize IT for organizations of any type or size by bridging the physical and virtual worlds by using cutting-edge technology solutions to drive better productivity at a reduced cost. We're going to talk to Anthony in 1 second. We also have Rajiv Zadav. Huh?
That's perfect.
Good, got it right. He is the CEO of RSquare Media Inc. RSquare Media Inc. is a creative advertising agency that helps businesses improve their visibility online through the use of original content so their customers can find them easily and choose them over the competition. Solutions often include responsive mobile-friendly data website design, animated videos, social media marketing, search engine optimization, and paid advertising. So 2 very interesting technology companies. We're also going to talk a little bit today about entrepreneurism. We've got 2 CEOs right here in the booth. So even though that wasn't part of the plan, we actually had planned a 3rd company to join us on here. They're unable to make it today, so we're going to give the extra time to our 2 guests. And Rajiv, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story? How did you get to be where you are now?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure and an honor. Thanks again. So as far as the story goes, how did it start? So the journey started when I actually started out as an intern with I want to say a French advertising agency that is, as you know, advertising, they, kind of keep buying up each other. Mm-hmm. So now they're known as TBWA Shide Day. Mm-hmm. Back then they were called BDDP. And so I started out as a copywriter, did a year internship as a copywriter.
Excuse me, how many years ago was this? Just curious.
Oh, this was, I want to say, like late 90s.
All right, so...
It's like 98.
So 18 years ago, maybe? So is that the journey? That's the length of the journey. That's what I'm just trying to quantify for everybody. Go ahead, keep going. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. And yeah, so I started out as a copywriter, did that for a year, then did some public relations in the same company, did that for a year, then did my MBA, and then, got into traditional advertising, worked with Leo Burnett, worked with Saatchi & Saatchi, worked with, companies like that, also worked in a large global media company called Mindshare, where I was the team director for Unilever. Mm-hmm. I worked on all of their business, worked on clients like Axe, Pond's, Lipton, Dove. I mean, you name it, I worked on it. Mm-hmm. And did some really, really good work, won a couple of awards for innovation as far as use of gamification, social media, original content, things like that. Mm-hmm. And all of these campaigns were, very, very effective. Mm-hmm. Both from a media innovation standpoint as well as selling product for the client, which of course I think is a yardstick that some people often forget.
Right.
So it did both of those, and then I went on for some further studies. I have 2 masters, one in management with a focus in e-commerce from New Jersey Institute of Technology, another master's in global marketing, communication, and advertising from Emerson College. And so after that, after this process, after some school, I also and just prior to setting up RSquare Media, I was the senior vice president at Citibank, taking care of acquisition for the credit card business. So I've always had this itch about, like doing your own thing, as they say, like you got to water your own garden at some point in time.
Right.
And it is the, the American way, the American dream to really, if you work hard, you can achieve pretty much everything if you're really diligent about it and passionate about it. So that along with also my wife really motivated me to, she always thought of me more as an entrepreneur and not as an employee. And I'm not knocking, people that are employees. It's perfectly fine because you can excel either as an employee with an entrepreneurial spirit or be an entrepreneur. So there's a very, very fine line between that, and both are absolutely fine.
I have to just interrupt 1 second. Did you ever create anything we might recognize, like a certain commercial or a slogan or a jingle or anything like that we would know?
Not yet. So it's like a lot of my clients are, nonprofits, they're startups, they're, regional businesses with a national focus. So, not yet. The making jingles and stuff, that's something that mostly the only creative agencies do. So that's not necessarily something that a social media company would do, because a social media company would be focusing more on social media engagement, how to create original content for social media, and then also helping clients with visibility. So, creating jingles, of course, is part of the work, but it's we focus more on the engagement, how brands engage with consumers on that piece of it, and not so much of the branding part of it.
I'm getting increasingly knowledgeable with category managers, and because I do a lot of work in the CPG space. So there's a whole lot of marketing that is so now decentralized. You're putting category managers at your retailers. If you're selling a CPG product in Cincinnati, you've got somebody working at Kroger's, right? And if they're up in Rhode Island, you have somebody working at CVS.
Absolutely.
So I've learned a lot more about that, and I appreciate where you're coming from and everything you just said. And that was a great story, Rajiv.
Yeah, and just to add to that, like you just said, so when you are working for a CPG company, so when I was with Saatchi & Saatchi X, which is focused on consumer marketing, actually shopper marketing, so Procter & Gamble was the client then, and as you know, Walmart is the behemoth that it is as far as retail goes. So they had an entire team dedicated just for Walmart, which I was, working for when I was at Saatchi X. So what you said is absolutely bang on, and it's right on the money, because since, it's all about distribution and it's all about access, and you need to understand how consumers are interacting with the distribution channel and understanding the nuances of each distribution channel. And of course, you need specific strategies for all of that.
I work for a company called Nature's Bounty, and they use the expression customer journey. So we're looking for a director of digital marketing, and that person is responsible for every touch, everything. Every time they go to the website, everything every SEO, anything that's involved, the same person is doing this. And I think it is good that that same person is doing it, so that you have a theme, you have consistency. So I'm very up on this. And I was actually in the marketing field myself, so I appreciate where you're coming from, and this must be a lot of fun.
Oh, it is. It's very challenging. And as you know, social media and the internet and the web, they constantly morph, and they're constantly changing. It's constantly evolving every single day. To the point that things that don't evolve get left behind. I can think of a few examples, like let's say, MySpace. MySpace used to be the thing. Now, not so much. Now, Facebook has pretty much replaced it. Then you have, other people like Yahoo. So Yahoo, again, was iconic. It represented the internet. And again, now, in a few months, it's perhaps not going to exist.
Right.
Definitely not as Yahoo.
Right.
So, I mean, that just goes to say as to how the landscape has evolved so much.
We'll talk about this a little bit later too, but social media it's like a moving target. You finally get your Instagram page up and now you're getting a lot of followers and you're doing all that, but all of a sudden new platforms are being created and you're like, wait a second, I'm not even on that platform.
Right.
So now the business has this obligation to be really up on social media. If the business is not following social media, it's missing a business development opportunity, and it's also missing a chance to communicate with its customers.
Right. And I would also just add to that by saying that, yes, you're right. I mean, there are a multiverse of social media platforms, but it's really important to understand who uses these platforms, why they use it, and the frequency of that use, and to see if it makes sense for the business to be on that platform. So, like, just to give you a small example, so I had a recent restaurant client who wanted to be on Snapchat. Just because somebody told him about Snapchat, he thought it was cool, and what, he wants to be on Snapchat. But the data suggests that Snapchat is used only by people, 12 to 24. They're not used by people 24 to 55. So
if they can't pick up a check at a restaurant, it doesn't make any sense. There you go.
Essentially, yes.
All right. How about you? Did you have to raise money or borrow money?
No, actually, my story is very similar to Anthony's. It's completely bootstrapped, completely leveraging whatever resources we had, whether it was hardware, technology, ability, all of that.
Let me jump in because if the Small Business Development Center was on this show, they would be screaming bloody murder, because most companies do not survive without a business plan, without professional advice, without a professional accountant and lawyer, without somebody who really knows what's going on. So don't risk it, folks. Go to the SBDC or another place that can help you get started. And these guys had a plan, and it took them years to get there. Not everybody has that kind of a plan. You're listening to Radio Jobline with Scott Possessor. In the second half of the show, we're going to interview you. If you're looking for a job, give us a call, 631-451-1039. And also, if you have an idea for a show, you can write to me. It's scott@linewsradio.com, scott@linewsradio.com. We're here for you every Saturday afternoon. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Radio Jobline with your host, Scott Possessor, right here on 1039 LI News Radio.
And welcome back, everybody. Michael, we heard you the whole way that time. So congratulations. I want to thank always starting off a new year with Michael Pepito, the world's greatest producer. And I am so honored to have him as my producer every week. Mike does a fabulous job. And joining me in the booth today, Catherine Polanco, super intern, new employee of Moody's, which we're going to hear a lot more about over the months to come. Anthony Pisano is with us. He's the president and CEO of Urban Digital Studies. We have Rajiv Zadav, who's the CEO of RSquare Media Inc. And we are talking about jobs in this segment. If you're a job hunter and you'd like to network with a company, or you'd like to apply for a job right here on the radio show. Now, this is novel, folks. It's different. It's novel. You can call us at 631-451-1039. The guests will talk to you, network with you, and even interview you if you have any of the qualifications looking for any of the jobs they're currently talking about. And I'm going to give some tips in this segment, too, about job hunting, just from some things that I've been, that have been bothering me lately, too, from my staffing business and from my career planning work that I do. So let's go back to Rajiv for a minute. Rajiv, tell us a little bit more about the exact services you provide at the present time, and then how that leads to the employees you might be looking for now.
Right. So again, thanks for having me on the show. It's really amazing. So as far as the products that we provide, so we're a creative content and design company. So our services are primarily website design, social media marketing, video production, content creation, search engine optimization, and everything in between. But
I have to jump in with a question.
Sure.
Because you said website design.
Sure.
Long time ago, back in 2000, I worked for a company called Envision that designed websites, later bought by Mindshare. And the prices were astronomical to build a website. Nowadays, there are these template websites you can go to, even some blog sites that look like websites.
Correct.
What's the one I'm thinking
Wix.
of? Which one?
Wix.
Wix.
Squarespace.
Yeah, there's like 10 of them now.
Right.
So is it still viable for a company to pay thousands of dollars to get a website done when they can, in fact, do it on their own? Whether it may not be as good, but is there any research to show that a better website brings more people? Certainly will have more SEO. But just address that for a minute.
Sure. So actually, just to kind of piggyback a little bit about what Anthony said earlier, is that yes, I mean, people, I guess, can do it themselves, and we do live in a DIY world, and you can definitely make the attempt to do so. But the thing is that what people will not get when they empanel an agency of repute like RSquare Media is they're getting a lot of wealth of experience. They're getting a lot of insight as to exactly what kind of website is going to work for them. They're getting a lot of intel on search patterns. They're getting a lot of intel on traffic. They're getting a lot of intel on content.
Now you can build the way you build the website. You can build it so that it has better SEO and better SEO, and better ways to capture an audience than just one that appears to look nice but doesn't have the back end.
Right, because a lot of these websites are built on Flash, and Flash is not mobile friendly. And right now it's critical to be mobile friendly. And in fact, that's the standard, to the point that any website which is not mobile friendly is actually punished by Google by having it pushed down in the search ranking in favor of a website that is mobile friendly. So being mobile friendly is the standard. And the idea is that the website needs to be really easy to use. It should have, a selection of colors and text and font and shape and size, which is conducive to all platforms. So basically, websites need to be platform agnostic. And by that, I mean no matter what the device that the user is using, the website should be responsive and adapt in real time automatically. So the user does not have to pinch and zoom and scroll and all that stuff to access the content with ease.
I don't mean to put you on the spot in any way, but I'm kind of curious. Nowadays, like I can remember when it was when $30,000 for a website was not unreasonable, going back about 15, 18 years. And then it got to be $10,000, and then it was like $5,000. Nowadays, what does it cost, for a relatively small company, a couple of $1 million company, to build a website nowadays?
Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of like, I get asked that question a lot, and I always answer by saying it depends, because it's kind of like saying, tell me how much does a car cost? So I need a little bit more information that I mean, are you talking about a 1977 car? Are you talking about a 2001 car? Are you talking about a 2016 car? I mean, what are the details?
And you have a lot more complexity. Go ahead, Anthony. Reggie would use the word brand, right?
Right.
Because it's got to have that same branding. So, Reggie, we interrupted you. Keep going.
Right.
Keep going.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as the the reason why a company would hire us as opposed to do it themselves, first of all, time is money. So people would much rather give an expert this job to do because they know what they're doing. They do this day in and day out. Another thing is that there's also a big demand for having a secure website. So I run into clients all the time that say their website got hacked and some hacker put some obscene picture on their homepage.
Boy, hacking is getting so out of control.
Right.
Oh my God.
Right. So while there isn't anything that's hack proof per se, but you do have platforms like Drupal that are enterprise grade security, and they are very, very scalable. So, I mean, we definitely do build very often on Drupal. That's our, CMS of choice. CMS stands for Content Management System. So that's the content management system of choice that we use. In fact,
WordPress is faded away?
No. WordPress is still there, but WordPress is for websites that are less complex, that don't necessarily have, like an e-commerce site would not necessarily be built on WordPress.
Right.
I mean, it can be, but it's most usually either built on Magento or it's built on Drupal.
Okay.
For the reasons of security.
So this is a good tip for job hunters out there.
Right.
To if you're going to learn a certain software to be able to build websites, and you're saying that Drupal. How do you spell Drupal?
Drupal.
Okay, good tip for the listeners.
Yep.
Keep going.
Yeah. So I mean, it's for those reasons and other reasons that Anthony stated about we need to like step back and take a big a view of what the business objective is to understand exactly what they're trying to do short term as well as long term. Distill that and then see how does that make sense for their web presence to come alive in the most cohesive, functional yet compelling way possible. So all these things are not something that any person can necessarily be thinking of or be able to do. So that's the reason why they would impanel somebody like us that knows what the current industry trends are, knows consumer patterns, all of that, and put that all together and then put all that intel to work for them when they build a website. So as far as how much a website costs, it depends again on the number of pages, complexity, integration, social media.
What about a range?
Right. So I would say it's anywhere from, I want to say like, 3,000 and up on average.
Okay.
So, and again, it depends entirely on like the level of complexity, the functionality, and of course, exactly what this website is going to do. So if the website has e-commerce or a very complex database or something that requires consumers to log in and then create accounts and, things like that. So then, of course, we're getting into more complexity, which, of course, is more effort equals more costs.
Right. And Rajiv, tell us now the employees that you're looking for. And listeners, you can call in and talk. 631-451-1039. Go ahead, Rajiv.
Right. So we have an ongoing requirement for social media interns, and we are also looking for people in business development. And both start out as an internship, but then they do convert into a full-time paid position with crazy incentives. So as far as the incentives go, for the business development, the role literally is you just got to tell us where the opportunity is. We'll reach out to the business owner, close a deal. And when the deal closes, they get paid anywhere from 10 to 20% commission. And that's on gross. So it's not on profit. It's not on, anything. It's gross, whatever the deal closes for.
This sounds like it might be a great invitation for someone who's changing careers.
Yes.
But doesn't have enough experience to actually get a paying job yet. So they could join you as an intern.
Yes.
Work for some months, not years, right? Months, 6 months maybe. And then possibly wind up getting a full-time permanent job in an area that they had no experience with prior, the way you've got that structured. Right.
And the thing is that through the internship, even if you do decide to take on the social media internship, but you want to dabble in business development, no matter, even if that's the case and you close something or are successful in leading us to something which closes, you get paid regardless.
Wonderful. Terrific.
So this is something that somebody can do either along with what they're doing right now, or if they want to try something new. This could be like their side business until it becomes large enough for them to do it full time. So it's completely up to them.
Rajiv, what we want you to do now is give us your website, your email address. How do people get involved in this?
Right. So people can apply by sending an email to help@rsquaremedia.com, and that's HELP, P as in Peter, at RSquare, SQUARE, media, media.com. So that's the email that you send your resume to. You can also visit the website, look at the careers page on the website. You could go to rsquare.media. That's our website. You can take a look at that. You can look at the 2 positions that are posted there along with the various incentives that I mentioned. Those are also posted on the website. Everything is completely transparent. Everything is above board. Literally, we're the kind of company that really celebrates integrity, professionalism, ethics. So we actually look more for people with that strong work ethic, professionalism, integrity, honesty. We value that above anything else. So we'd much rather work with somebody that's trainable, that does take direction, that has initiative, that is hardworking, has that entrepreneurial spirit, and as opposed to somebody that has, a lot of work experience in this field, highly, qualified. I'm not saying that those things are something we don't consider, but our primary things are, honesty, integrity, and professionalism.
Okay, and a fantastic learning platform. So well done, Rajiv. I approve.
Thank you.